Hello, my name is Sophie. Today we're going to be looking at the concept of identity. I'll be using the poem Real by Stephen Oliver to illustrate this concept. Identity is associated with a person's sense of belonging to a country or community and doesn't relate to a person's skin colour. Having a strong cultural identity can provide Indigenous and non-Indigenous people with a grounding and stabilising way in understanding their own cultural history. However, with the continuity of globalisation, Indigenous people still suffer from dealing with the controversy between their Indigenous identity and mainstream identity. White Australia is one of the major sociological factors that impacts the perceptions made towards Indigenous Australians. It's these historical and sociological influences that have created these perceptions of what it means to be Indigenous, and it is vital to understand that what has been perceived in the past of Indigenous people is not how they should be perceived today. The poem Real by Stephen Oliver explains the negative impact that it has when a person questions his identity and labels him with terms such as half-caste or part Aborigine. Back in 1937 to 1916, these terms were used to assimilate Indigenous people into the westernised community by making them act and live like white people, which has caused a substantial amount of trauma within the Indigenous community. And these terms, which are still being used in today's society, are highly offensive to Indigenous people.
Christopher Smith, he said full of pride, a name revealing his English side. So calmly I said, my friend, what are you? He said, I'm Australian, mate through and through. Now come on, I said, is that not a myth? From the late Grand of England comes the name Smith. Your heritage lies in a faraway land, so to say you're from here I do not understand. You're English, you said it, it's in your name. And that's when all the obscenities came. You Abbo, listen here, you know-it-all coon. It seemed that my friend had spoken too soon. Just moments ago I was not the real thing, yet now by his words my heritage clings. Of course he was Aussie, I knew that he was, but I wanted to show him that simply because I have other bloodlines flowing in me, it does not alter my identity. The lifestyle I've lived, the way that I've grown, my identity is all that I've ever known. Just in the way he is Anglo-Saxon, but yet in his heart he's Australian. I don't question his call, I accept it as fact. So why does his question feel like an attack? Relentlessly judging just to prove he is right, when the truth is I'll never be white.
Stephen expresses within the poem how the judgment of his identity leads him to feel attacked. He questions why he feels the need to defend his identity to someone that classifies themselves as an Australian through and through when he is the rightful owner of this land. The ideology that's been created that Indigenous people are the minority is a result of past historical events, which has led to the reoccurring judgments and stereotypes to still exist today. Within the classroom, teachers have a responsibility to create a diverse and inclusive environment where all students are supported to reach their full potential, regardless of their socio-economic status and cultural identity. The Alice Springs Declaration states that all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young peoples must be empowered to achieve their full learning potential, shape their own futures, and embrace their cultures, language, and identities as Australia's First Nations people. By teaching students about cultural history from an Indigenous perspective can hopefully eliminate any stereotypes, judgments and biases that are created and support the process in closing the gap between Australians and First Australians. Embedding Indigenous knowledges within your practices and philosophy will promote and contribute to a socially cohesive environment that respects, appreciates, and values the different cultural, social, linguistic, and religious diversities. Setting Indigenous students up for greater academic success where they feel supported to be themselves, while also benefiting teachers and non-Indigenous students' awareness of what it actually took place in past historical events, adding to the sense of respect, appreciation, and understanding towards Indigenous people and their communities within the classroom. Thank you for listening.